Do you feel like you're doing everything right? You're setting goals, you're taking action every day, but for some reason, you're still not moving the needle forward. You've always wanted to be that girl because you see your friend effortlessly attracting opportunities, relationships, and they just come out of nowhere. And you're wondering to yourself, why can't I have that? And what is most infuriating is that these people who seem to have it all, they seem to do so in the most effortless way. Because you're over here, you're working hard, you're doing everything you can, you're losing hair, you're losing sleep, but nothing seems to be happening. But I know that if you're watching this video, you are probably on the brink to burnout. And you are wondering, there has to be a better way of doing this. But what if I told you that you've been focusing on all of the wrong things? That you may be doing the right actions, but your headspace, your mindset is not in the right place. The truth is, living the soft life takes a lot of work. And it's not the kind of hard work that you see people on social media doing. You're not losing sleep. You're not grinding all the time. But the soft life is a different type of hard. The soft life requires vigilance, self-awareness, self-acceptance. And not a lot of people are willing to take extreme ownership of their own life, but instead they like to blame others. They like to blame the world. They like to blame their friends. They like to blame their upbringing, and it's never about them. But living the soft life is really about seeing the truth of who you are. But what if I told you that there is a way to step into your power, to live a life of success, and to be the high-value woman that you've always dreamt of? And it doesn't take more struggle, work, and suffering, but it's about focusing on the right things. And I'm going to share with you my own secret recipe to help you tap into your inner world, master your inner thoughts, and help you heal so you can become the high-value woman that you've always meant to be, and to be able to live the soft life that you so deserve to have. By the end of this video, you are going to have all the tools that you'll need to transform your mindset, change your own inner self-concept, and eventually, when you do the work, reality will catch up. Here are all the timestamps, and these timestamps are also available in the description below. So let's talk about how to make the soft life work for you. And this is really the biggest key as to what I want you to focus on when you are going through the inner work. So let's talk about the power of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has been developing since the day that we were born. And throughout the course of ages 0 to 8, we are always gathering information. And whether this information is true or not, when we hear it enough times, we will automatically see it as truth. So this information can come from what our friends talk about, what our family talks about, what kind of TV shows you're watching, what kind of movies you're watching, the amount of TikToks that you are watching. And during ages 0 to 8, we build up our own database of what we think life is. We build up a database of our own relationship with life and our relationship with ourselves. And the biggest key is that we accept everything that we hear as truth. So if your parents constantly said, life is a struggle, making money is really hard, or maybe your friends bullied you because you're ugly, no one wants to be friends with you. Or if your siblings constantly told you how annoying you were, how insignificant you are to the family, all of these things that were taught or told becomes a part of your database. During this time, we don't have the analytical facilities that challenge these beliefs because our brains aren't fully developed yet. We are still learning about the concept of how the world works. But by the time we hit 8 and beyond 8 years of age, we build our analytical facilities. And then based on what we have, the information we have in our database, then those become the rules of our own life. It's a lot harder to bypass and work with the subconscious mind because our analytical facilities help protect and ensure that all the information we're receiving aligns with our truth. And if it doesn't, our analytical facilities just don't believe it as truth. For example, if the love of your life said that you were so beautiful today, you look so amazing. But in your subconscious mind, you may still be holding on to the identity of when you were 5 years old and you were wearing this beautiful dress. Everyone just called you fat, ugly, stupid. And because you've held that memory as your truth, When someone is telling you in the present moment that you look beautiful, that you look amazing, you just don't believe it. And that's the analytical facility that I'm talking about that helps you differentiate between what you think is right and what you think is wrong. So your upbringing plays a huge role in the kind of person you are, how confident you are in yourself, what kind of relationships you attract, what kind of success you have. So if 5% of you, which is your conscious mind, wants to build a successful business and travel around the world, but 95% of you has been taught that you need to go and find a stable job, be an accountant, so that if the economy crashes, you're going to be safe. So what do you end up doing? You end up getting your CPA, you end up being an accountant. If only 5% of you wants to have a healthy, secure relationship, but 95% of you is saying, love is volatile. Love is something that I must earn. I don't deserve love. I have to earn love. Love is unfair. Love is scary. Love is ugly. If 95% of us believes that, what do we get? We end up attracting emotionally unavailable men time and time again and going through heartbreak over and over again. If 5% of you wants to have a healthy diet, wants to work out more and look good, but the 95% of you is saying, you don't deserve to look pretty. You've never been pretty. You have always been fat. You've always been ugly. So what ends up happening? You go through this feast and famine cycle, and you end up being much more overweight than you were the day before. In life, we are always spiraling. And if we continue to fight and work against our subconscious mind, the situations that we're currently living will only get exponentially worse over time. But if we learn to work with our subconscious mind, we learn to be friends with our subconscious mind, then we begin to create a new narrative where we're spiraling up, where things are working in our favor. We end up reaching our goals. And it doesn't matter how much that 5% of you wants to change. Because if you can't get the rest of the 95% of you on board, you will not be able to change. So to live the soft life, you need to take extreme accountability over your own beliefs, your own narratives, and your own story. Instead of using an army of 5 to fight against an army of 95 of you, see your conscious mind as a leader. You can see the 5 people and the 5 voices as a part of the leadership team. Your subconscious mind controls your reality. It drives your speed, your happiness, your fulfillment, the level of abundance you experience. The soft life is not about avoiding challenges, and it's not about not doing anything, not taking action, but it's about mastering yourself and learning how to bend life according to your rules, rather than living by default and feeling like you're being tossed around by life. Ease isn't something that you wait for. It's something that you consciously create. So let's dive into the different ways that you can work on your inner world. The first tip is to explore your unlived life. Everyone has a version of themselves that they never got to be. Dreams being left behind, paths not being taken. But instead of exploring them, we end up suppressing them because society tells us that it's not stable, it's not realistic. We tend to label certain desires as good or bad. Life just ends up happening, and we live on autopilot. And we seem to just go through the motions of life without being conscious around the choices that we're making. If we continue to ignore these parts, you may feel numb. You may feel like you're missing out on life. You might feel bitterness and frustration that life doesn't feel as fulfilling and fun and as exciting as it used to be. You might even feel this resentment or blame for life not working out. So how you are going to explore your unlived life is you are going to imagine your dream life. Now, do not mistake this as manifestation visualization. The intention between these two visualizations are completely different. We are not visualizing for the sake of getting something, but we're visualizing for the sake of understanding ourselves on a deeper level. It's essentially a way for us to explore some of the gaps that we feel like are not being fulfilled in our current life right now. This also isn't just about daydreaming or wishful thinking, but it's having a real conversation with the version of you that you've left behind. Because through all of the self-rejection, with all of the times that you've been shutting yourself out, you are finally going to have a real conversation with her. So the first step to it all is notice what is missing. What kind of life do you secretly crave? Was there a career, lifestyle, relationship where you have always wanted it to happen, but it just never did? Are there hobbies, experiences that you wish you were able to experience, but you were never able to, or you just didn't have the time to? Step number 2 is visualize the other you. Imagine you did end up living your dream life. Imagine that you ended up having everything you wanted. The dream relationship, the dream business, being able to travel around the world, being able to meet all of your amazing friends and have a really amazing social life. Living in your dream apartment, being a socialite in the big city, whatever it is that you've always wanted, I want you to tap into that path. Now picture this version of you as if it is another person. How do they dress? How do they talk? How do they move? And have a conversation with them. What is going well in their life? How are they feeling on a moment-to-moment basis? What are they also afraid of? What are they afraid that could happen? What are some of the consequences of living this way? What are some fears that they still have despite living such an amazing life? Step number 3 is to fully experience their world. Now, fuse and mend into their bodies and start experiencing their world like it is your own. What feels fulfilling? What kind of needs are being met? What feels challenging? What doesn't feel as safe? What are some of the hard parts to living this kind of lifestyle? What is difficult? What is scary? What's challenging? So if you fantasize about living by the ocean, having a beach home, and laying on the beach every single day, is that something that you really want? Or are you craving freedom? Is that a value that you really want to implement more in your life? Is it the fact that you feel so burnt out right now and you just wish you had more moments where you get to connect with nature? The last step is to take the wisdom from these conversations and from these visualizations and start writing down on paper what it is that you value and what it is that you want in your life. This visualization is not about manifestation at all, but it's about what your dream life looks like and helping you integrate pieces of it in your current life right now so you can still experience the emotions, put the values that you truly want to implement at the forefront of your life. So really ask yourself, in this life, what did I value most? Is there something missing in my current life? How can I realistically bring these values into my own life? If you want to be an artist one day, spend 1 to 2 hours free drawing. If you crave freedom and if you crave more moments of being with nature, allocate an hour or 2 a day just going on walks outside. If the energy of joy, excitement is clearly missing in your life and you're not prioritizing that, then how can you start infusing fun and sensuality and love into your routine so you can spice things up a little more? Sometimes what we want isn't a really big change in our routine, but it's about how can we slowly move towards a life that we love, and how can we start taking small steps towards finding what we value, finding what we want, and using this visualization to help you prioritize what kind of values mean the most to you. The second tip to living the soft life is that your triggers are your BFF. We tend to feel that our triggers are negative. So whenever we lash out at our boyfriends, when we cry in front of our boss, when we roll our eyes at our parents when they say something to us about our life choices, all of these things are so subconscious and we don't actually mean to do those things. We can't even control those emotions that come through. Every time you feel a rush of emotions, anger, resentment, jealousy, these are not random emotions, but they are evidence that there is something unhealed within us that is trying to come through. It's your unconscious mind trying to get your attention. So instead of trying to suppress it like you always do, look at it with curiosity. What part of me believes this? And why does this hit so deep? And why does it feel so personal? Here's how triggers can help you do the deepest inner work. The The very first thing is that triggers help you identify what your insecurities are. Have you ever cried about something that wasn't that big of a deal? Have you lashed out at something really small? Or have you ever felt super crushed when you are trying to get your message across, but no one seems to care what you have to say? These emotions are from your subconscious mind, and they're waving this red flag saying, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. So instead of dismissing your feelings, start leaning into them. What exactly set you off? What belief or wound am I feeling that is so attached to this? The second thing is that your triggers show you what kind of person you actually want to be. Do you ever get jealous and angry when someone is clearly putting in less hours than you, but are getting promotion after promotion? But maybe the reason why you keep getting passed up for a promotion is because you believe that life is unfair. Life is full of struggle. You judge someone for being too loud or being an attention seeker, but what if maybe deep down you feel this kind of judgment because on the inside you don't feel safe enough to step into your confidence and to step into your power? What if you roll your eyes when you see someone being too soft, but instead, what if that came from this inner belief that you always have to have a guard, that you always have to be strong, that you always have to be in your masculine? When we judge and gossip other people for their faults, it is never about them. It is always about who you think you are. And it shows us our closeted self, the version of us that we feel is unsafe to come out, but yet we feel like this is the part of us that really does want to come out. We tend to feel that this version of ourselves isn't allowed to come out, and we judge other people because they get to do this, they get to go out and be loud, they get to be themselves, and you feel that them being able to be expressive, them being able to be loud, them being able to be in the center of attention, that's not fair. And then you find flaws so you can end up feeling better about yourself for being small. You feel that it's right. You try to justify your actions. When you judge people, you tend to try to justify the way that you live as being the right way to live. Instead of pointing fingers, start asking yourself the question, what wants to be expressed here? What part of me wants to be expressed? But what part of me feels like it's not right to express myself this way? It's not right for me to want this. It's not right for me to have this. It's not right for me to have this so easy. These are also beliefs and narratives that you have accumulated for a long time. And lastly, your triggers show you what you value most in life. If something deeply upsets you or gets you really excited, usually those are really big telling signs that it is touching a core wound or touching a core value that you have. So if you hate people that are really lazy, maybe you just have a very strong internal rule about responsibility, about productivity, and you just won't let yourself rest and relax and allow yourself to be in the flow of life. But that could be something that you deeply want to implement more of. Do you tend to feel hurt when you're ignored all the time? Something that you may value is you value respect and you value being admired. Do you judge people for breaking the rules? Maybe there's a part of you that wants more freedom in your life, but feel like you can't have that. Our triggers show us what we love, what we fear, and what we're trying to avoid. So how do you turn your triggers into your greatest life coach? The first thing you want to do is you want to accept the emotions that you are feeling. Accept the triggers, accept the emotions. Our emotions cannot leave our bodies until we learn to love it, when we learn to accept it. The second is look for the lesson. If you were to see every moment in your life as a lesson, what would this trigger represent? What are you supposed to learn in this moment? The last thing is poke holes at your beliefs. Your beliefs are all lies. Whether they're positive or not, we have built this concept of life. So poke holes, find instances where this belief isn't true. And I also really like to use ChatGPT to help me identify the lie of certain beliefs that I've been holding for a long time. And ChatGPT is really good at identifying all the different reasons and helping me overcome myself in the most productive way. Your triggers are not here to hurt you. They are meant to heal you. And as much as we hate breaking down in the middle of the room sometimes, We need to see our emotions as our partners, that they want us to heal. They want us to move forward in our lives and be the best version of ourselves. But the more that we go against the parts of us that want the best for us, the more that these triggers and emotions are only going to come back harder next time. So next time, just get curious. This might be the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. Last tip that I have is hypnosis. Now, hypnosis is not your typical dangling clock thing and making people dance like a chicken, because we see that in entertainment hypnosis all the time. And while it is really crazy that the participants don't actually know what's happening and they're getting them to do some crazy things, but real hypnosis isn't a party trick. It's actually one of the most powerful tools to rewire your subconscious mind. And I have put myself through the test for 30 days, just 30 days. And I feel that I am so much more confident. I am so much more hopeful about the future. And I feel way more proactive about my life. And I want you to check out some of my older videos, which wasn't that long ago, but I used to feel very shy in front of my camera. And the thought of filming myself, thought of putting myself on YouTube literally made me sick to my stomach. But I have started doing a hypnosis program called Instant Confidence by Paul McKenna, and you can find this on YouTube. I can put the link down below. But I've been doing it consistently for about 30 days, and I'm still gonna keep doing this, but I have seen such a massive shift. I've seen that I have a better internal narrative. I talk to myself in a much nicer way. I feel so much more confident to be myself. I feel so much more free to speak with more assertiveness, to feel more capable day to day. And it's all because of hypnosis. I've done affirmations, I've done visualizations in the past, but hypnosis just speaks directly to my own subconscious mind. And the process of transformation has just felt so much more effortless. Hypnosis has really transformed the way that I see inner work, because not only is it important to write about what you're struggling with, to be aware of the noise, to be aware of the programs, but we also have to find other ways to tackle the subconscious mind. And hypnosis is so effective for that. Your subconscious mind controls so much of your life. Your beliefs, your habits, your self-worth, it's all of the narratives combined into your own self-concept. And what hypnosis does is hypnosis speaks directly to the 95% part of you and helps you rewire into a new identity. It also helps you reprogram and rewire some negative beliefs that have clearly not been helping you, and helping you get into a better mindset and a better relationship with yourself so you can actually change. It also reinforces new habits effortlessly. And I always think to myself, I never knew I could speak like this. I never knew that I could speak with so much authority. And sometimes when I'm editing these videos and I look at myself and I watch myself talk, I'm like, who is she? And it's moments like this where I've realized how much the subconscious mind has really been impacting my day-to-day. So how you can use this to your advantage is I have accumulated 30 to an hour every day for hypnosis. So I typically like to do this right before I wake up or right before I go to sleep. That is when the subconscious mind is the most malleable. And using that time to listen to my hypnosis programs. And when you do this consistently, and I mean it, you have to show up consistently. You can't just do it once or twice and give up, because it's not going to work. It's like going to the gym. When you go to the gym once or twice, you may not see any results, but as you keep going, as you keep doing it, it will naturally come to you, and you will naturally see more of the results as you go. Affirmations has never worked for me. And the reason why is because I've been taught to say affirmations like, I am wealthy, I'm confident, I am confident. But when you're saying these affirmations, they're not going through the subconscious mind, yet they are still within the 5%. They're still in the conscious mind. And it's not going through the analytical facilities. But when you use hypnosis to speak directly to the subconscious mind, things change so much faster. And it takes way less effort to do so. confidence, self-worth, these are all deeply rooted and deeply embedded in your unconscious mind. So learn how to speak to it. Learn how to convince your subconscious mind to see yourself in a better light, to see yourself as beautiful, to see yourself as wealthy. I'm sure that there's a hypnosis track for whatever it is that you want to work on. I know you're super excited to implement all of these tips, but before you do that, I want to talk about some of the common mistakes that people make when it comes to inner work. The first thing that you want to know is that inner work is not about accumulating more. Most people are trying to fix themselves by adding more beliefs, adding more routines, adding more affirmations. But the more that you do this work, the more that you realize that inner work isn't about building up. It's actually about the process of letting go. A book that I talk about a lot when it comes to letting go is by Dr. David Hawkins, called Letting Go. And this book has been so transformational to me because I felt like I went through the biggest shift in my life when I started learning how to let go of resistance, to let go of old narratives, and to let go of emotions that were not fulfilling me. The more routines that you think you need to add, the more things that you think you need to do in order to heal, the more that you are going to enforce this foundational belief that there is something wrong with you. When you let go of the resistance and you finally surrender, you come to realize that you have been whole this entire time. And doing the inner work is about that. It's about letting go of who you think you are. Inner work is about detaching all of the conditions that we think we need to be happy. And paradoxically, the more we let go, the easier life is. The more in flow we are, the more happy we are, and the more high vibrational we become. The second mistake that people tend to make is that they tend to avoid deep emotional work and ugly thoughts that arise. Self-improvement is not about just thinking positively and repeating your affirmations. Self-improvement is about deepening your understanding of who you are. Without addressing the traumas, without addressing the childhood wounds, without addressing the beliefs, you will never be able to free yourself of the person that you are meant to be. While there are a lot of people that read self-help books, that watch these YouTube videos, not a lot of people actually proactively do the work to heal. That is not inner work. Inner work is feeling the emotions deeply. It's about journaling every day around triggers that have been bothering you the whole day. That's the real inner work. And sometimes it's not sexy. Sometimes it's not fun. It's that when you have awareness of even the ugliest thoughts, transformation begins then. It's not about how many books you read on letting go or how many books you read about being the best version of yourself, but it's about showing up for yourself and loving yourself, even if those ugly thoughts come up. If you don't love those parts of you will continually re-manifest and will continually and perpetually show up in your life. Another mistake that a lot of people tend to make is that they rely on external validation for their progress. So what I mean by this is people that are very impatient with their progress are people who rely on external validation. This work that you're doing may not reflect immediately in your life. It may take a couple days, a couple weeks for reality to shift in your favor. Now, that doesn't mean that things aren't working out. But when you become discouraged and you stop doing the inner work because you don't think it's effective, then you are still relying on external validation to essentially comfort you that things are working out, which means that you're still insecure about whatever it is that you're working on. Personal growth and being that soft girl, being that high value woman is not a trend. It's not just a fun activity that you do, but it's serious work, and sometimes it may not be the most glamorous thing. And the person, the woman that you want to become, you are not being her because you want admiration, because you want validation. But the intention of doing inner work is for you to have more personal freedom. It's for you to feel more alive and more happy and fulfilled in your own life. But when you end up doing inner work for the sake of attention, for the sake of admiration, when your whole purpose to heal is to impress other people, that is not inner work, and you're not going to be able to make the right changes because you are still faking it to some level. You're not being fully honest and authentic with who you are meant to be. Image-focused self-improvement then becomes your coping mechanism. An image-focused self-improvement process will only guide you further from yourself, and it becomes a coping mechanism to help you avoid self-acceptance, which is really the whole basis of why you do inner work. If you catch yourself waiting for results to come through after doing your inner work, you are still not healed. External changes alone do not create that lasting transformation. They may temporarily mask your insecurities, but they won't stay forever either. Nothing stays forever. Start shifting your focus to what is internal. Start putting your attention and energy on yourself. Start shifting the narrative that you are doing this because you love yourself, because you deserve to have an amazing life, rather than choosing an idealized version of who you think people are going to like you for. Start tapping into the woman that you feel authentically aligned to be. Now, the last but very common mistake is that a lot of women don't believe they deserve to be happy until they are fully healed. When you are constantly reading, constantly healing, constantly working on yourself and giving yourself no breaks whatsoever, you are reinforcing this belief that there is something wrong with you. And when you don't allow yourself to have fun and feel deserving of happiness, that is also the opposite of what inner work is really all about. The whole purpose of inner work is so that you can experience more happiness and freedom in your life. But a lot of people don't feel that they deserve happiness until they are fully healed. But what if I told you that you will always be a work in progress? I will always be a work in progress. And that there is no end point to being the best version of yourself. No matter how close you believe you think you are to her, you will always be improving. You will always have a different relationship with growth, and you will always have new goals. Another mistake that people do is that they feel that they need to be completely ready in order to go for something new. Some women think that they need to get rid of their limiting beliefs before they can start something new. For example, I need to get rid of all my limiting beliefs before I can start this new career, before I can start YouTube. How many times have you heard that before? And we constantly give ourselves excuses, and we think we need to heal ourselves completely and be whole until we can go for what we really want. But experiences is the greatest teacher, and we can't be confident in our career or in YouTube unless we actually go out and do it. When we start putting ourselves out there in the discomfort. Healing is a journey. Healing is not an identity. Growth happens alongside of life. At some point, you're going to have to embrace who you are and continually move forward. Confidence is built through experiences. It's not just through the inner work. Growth is not about reaching perfection, but it's about embracing the journey of being your best self every step of the way. Live every day like it's your last, because you deserve to live a really full life. Inner work should be a part of what you do, but it should not be the main focus of your life. You still deserve to enjoy fun and freedom, even if you still have work to do. And that's okay. Everyone still has work to do. So we have finally reached the end of this video. Living the soft life is definitely not easy because it takes so much intentional work. It takes a lot of vigilance, and it takes a lot of effort to just make conscious choices. So if you are currently in the process of doing the work, I applaud you so much, because the work that you're doing now is not only going to benefit your own life, but it's also going to benefit the world around you. If you love this video, please feel free to check out my other videos where I talk a lot about self-development, being a high-value woman, and also tapping into the best version of yourself. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye!